and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for the opening night of Vicki's fabulous production of Shine Happy Shine. Welcome to the world of Vicki Todd and her art. And this is just a little reminder to turn off your cell phones and enjoy the show. You've already noticed that she's got wonderful artwork for sale in the lobby. The instructions, if you are interested in the pieces, are in the program as well as out there in the lobby. Thanks for coming.
Once upon a time, a girl was born. She came into this earth plane wrapped in the breath of her guardian angels and healed ancestors. Breath that was twined around her little limbs and torso like purple flowering vines, whispering the reason for why she was born.
I'm from Happy, Texas, the town without a frown. There's a billboard that says so. The population is around 660. Most of the townspeople are farmers and cattle ranchers. That's what my family does. My older brother is the 4th generation on our family farm. The only school in town is home to the Happy Cowboys and Cowgirls. When I'm growing up in the 70s and 80s, there are 5 churches along the red brick main street. First Baptist, my family attends there. Methodist, Church of Christ, Catholic, although there's a rumor that Catholics aren't really Christians, and Presbyterian, but that preacher died, and so now it's a funeral home. The only grocery store in town closes in the 1980s, so the nearest food store is 14 miles away in the next town over, separated from Happy by wheat fields and cattle pastures. My dad, Lonnie Jean, has a wicked dry sense of humor, which I love. He has an ongoing dad joke that I can always count on him to say from my childhood into adulthood. He slaps me hard on the back, he has those super strong farmer hands, and says, "Mama, we should have drowned her when we had the chance. She's too big now," which really means, "I love you," in dad speak. My mother, Beulah Linnell Todd, my brother and I call her BLT behind her back, rolls her eyes. "Well, you got that right. Oh, Daddy." And Daddy and I stick our tongues out at each other like little kids. One day, after Daddy has spent the morning working cattle, meaning castrating, branding, and doctoring with medicine, he comes home with a freshly skinned pair of calf testicles and chunks them in the kitchen sink. "Cook them up for dinner." "Is that a dare?" BLT asks. "Hide and watch." She slices the balls, roasts them in cornmeal, and fries them in bacon grease in an electric skillet. We eat them for lunch. BLT's way to claim her stake as ruler of the roost is to take me clothes and shoe shopping in Amarillo often. When we return home, she instructs me, "Now, hide 2 of the pairs of shoes and that dress in your bedroom closet. You can show your father the other pair of shoes and that jacket if you like. He doesn't need to know everything we bought." In a town as small as Happy, everyone knows and gossips about everyone else's business. BLT is always concerned with, well, what will the neighbors think? What's the story we should tell people? BLT's superpower is her ability to rewrite reality to fit her own truth, and she believes it, at least on the surface. I never understand why the story can't just be the truth. Throughout my childhood, I am a good girl. I graduate Happy High School with 11 students in my class. Of course, I'm a straight A student and valedictorian. I'm a cheerleader, play basketball and run track, take piano lessons for 9 years, go to church every Sunday and Wednesday afternoon after school. I don't take my first drink of alcohol or kiss a boy until my junior year, although I make up for both in college. Of course, BLT is a Sunday school teacher throughout her and my life. I'm not the most popular kid in town. Happy is a great place to grow up, but there are many afternoons I sit alone in my bedroom and think, there has got to be something more to life than this. BLT tells me that I tell her at the young age of 6, Mama, I don't want to be like you when I grow up. Meaning I don't want to be a wife or a mother. BLT gives me the look. That kid knows what she wants. The year is 1971. I'm a 6-year-old, serious and quiet child. My mother, BLT, has entered me in the Little Miss Happy Beauty Contest, and I'm standing alone on the large wooden stage of the Happy High School auditorium. Of course, BLT has made sure that I'm presentable for this horse and pony show. I'm dressed in a frothy pink dress with white lacy bobby socks and shiny black patent Mary Janes. My blonde hair is perfectly coiffed into ringlets that just touch my shoulders. I had to sleep in those pink foam rubber curlers with the pink plastic fasteners to get this curl. Mama, I can't sleep with these curlers. They hurt my head. Well, sometimes beauty can be painful. The pageant progresses to the question and answer portion, and I'm standing alone on the stage with the judge, professional Southwest painter Kenneth Wyatt, who holds a silver handheld microphone. And what is your name, little girl? My name is Vicki. And what would you like to be when you grow up, Vicki? I want to be an artist. I noticed that some of the people in the dark auditorium giggle aloud at my response, but I'm not one bit surprised at my answer. My artistic DNA begins in my grandmother's china shop in her home attic in Happy, Texas. She decides around the age of 50 that she wants to open the china shop and begin teaching oil and china painting lessons, although she has no artistic training herself. I love her china shop. The rows and rows of blank china stacked on mint green wooden shelves that Daddy D built. The imported china arrives in slatted wooden crates stuffed full with shreds of dusty newspaper that cascade out when opened. The grating ka-thunk sound of grandmother's adding machine with the pull-down arm, and her precise writing on the white, yellow, and pink triplicate receipts. Look, Vicki, here's a china butterfly. Why don't you paint with the ladies in my art class? I bet you make it beautiful. I love the sharp smell of turpentine that she uses to clean the brushes. She puts it in those tiny glass pimento jars, the ones with the tin screw-on lids. Now, use your fingertips to rub the paint and turpentine off the brush, Vicki. That's right, do it on this white napkin. So, it's no surprise to me to answer an artist when Kenneth Wyatt asks me what I want to be when I grow up. But at the conclusion of the Little Miss Happy pageant, which I win, a sparkly crystal tiara is placed on my blonde head, and a white sash with Little Miss Happy printed in gold glitter is placed around my shoulder and torso. Some of the women question my mother, BLT. Did you coach Vicki to say, I want to be an artist, hoping to win over the judge? Oh, come now, Linnell. Surely the child didn't say that all on her own. Well, does Vicki really want to be an artist? BLT admits her surprise. Well, no, Vicki said that all on her own. I make a pilgrimage to an ancient adobe monastery somewhere in the New Mexico desert. The nuns offer pilgrims holy hot chili peppers known throughout the world to set your heart and spirit on fire and make you see vivid visions. I stop in an outdoor tent. An old nun with milky blind eyes sits at a table and silently offers me holy hot chili flakes to try. I'm wary of the chili's potent powers, but I gingerly place a few of the flakes on the tip of my tongue. Just like that, I feel my heart and spirit burst into flame. I see a vivid vision. A beautiful woman with skin the color of mocha and jet black hair with streaks of purple, gold, and silver appears on the village's dirt road like a mirage. I swear the woman morphs into a shiny black raven with outstretched wings. But I blink, and the woman appears again walking toward me. The raven woman speaks, so I know the vision is real. "You have such lovely energy," says the raven woman. "Please come into my art gallery and look at my blackened tin etchings." I'm intrigued. I've seen intricate patterns carved into silver tin before, but never ebony tin. Inside the Raven Woman's gallery, the ancient adobe walls are covered in beautiful creations. Undulating female saints, hearts on fire, and wise ravens with outstretched wings are etched into the black tin, the images going through the dark surfaces. The Raven Woman says to me, "I quit my job as a healer for the splintered masses 2 decades ago to follow my passion for making art. I invented a way to alchemize silver tin into ebony so I could etch designs into the black tin, revealing the silver magic that lies beneath. It's the same with life and choosing to follow your heart's desire. To become who you were born to be, you must carve through the top crust of shoulds and musts our families and society heap on us and allow your gifts to shine through." Yes, I stow the Raven Woman's profound words in my heart for safekeeping. And then the Raven Woman gives me a special gift, a talisman made from an old rusted tile from the roof of the ancient adobe monastery that houses the holy hot chili peppers. In the center of the weathered rectangle of tile sits a nugget of turquoise. "Turquoise symbolizes courage," explains the Raven Woman. She places the talisman around my neck. "The nuns have blessed this rusted tile, so wear this talisman for protection and courage along your journey." And then the Raven Woman shapeshifts once again into a graceful, shiny black raven and flies up into the clouds like a mirage. Shine, but not too much. Shine, but make sure you fit in. This is the accordion-like mantra I've heard throughout life. It begins simply enough: be a good girl. Don't major in art in college. It won't make any money, and besides, that's a frivolous hobby that you do after retirement. Get married. That's what all the females in my family have done. At the age of 25, I married my hairdresser in Lubbock, Texas, the one who gave me the wild 80s mane in college. I mean, I couldn't marry a boy from Happy, Texas that I'd known since kindergarten. Produce a grandchild, although I've never wanted to have children. You know how some people call the 7th year of marriage the 7-year itch? My 7-year itch came in the form of BLT badgering me to get pregnant. "Just one grandchild, that's not so much. Don't you want the same relationship with your own child like you and I have?" "No, I want things to stay just as they are." After months of crying, arguing, and gnashing of teeth, I finally cave into BLT's desire and get on fertility meds. See these weird neon yellow squiggles at the corners of my eyesight? I feel like my brain is oozing out of my ears. I get pregnant, but I don't feel joy about it initially. BLT gets mad at me for not feeling joy. I find myself in the middle of the night kneeling on the bathroom floor, weeping into the toilet and praying to God. I don't want to be married. I don't want to have a baby. I feel hopelessly stuck. Help! I was floundering. My self-esteem was cowering face down on the floor. I'd lost my true self. God answered my cries with a miscarriage, which was terrifying at the time, but my soul knows for me, it was a blessing in disguise. 2 months later, God offered me an open door of opportunity. My former dean at Texas Tech University had seen the feature story I placed in the newspaper promoting the hair salon my husband and I owned. He called to ask if I would like to teach a public relations writing class that began the next day. I was petrified. I hadn't worked in the communications industry for 4.5 years because I quit working to help manage the salon. All I'd been doing was painting a ton of ceramics and playing the violin badly in the church orchestra. I would practice for violin lessons while waiting for the salon phone to ring. None of the females in my family worked outside the home, so I was following their path. And my master's degree was 8 years old. But I knew if I said no to this open door of opportunity, I would remain hopelessly stuck in a life that just didn't fit me. Marriage and motherhood were like wearing someone else's ill-fitting coat. My marriage was a sinking ship. I was depending on my husband to take care of me, but he would rather go play golf than work. So I took the leap and said yes. I must have been doing well at teaching because soon enough my dean asked, "Have you thought about earning your doctorate degree?" No, but suddenly I saw it. It was my key to freedom, a way to get myself out of the deep hole I'd allowed myself to be pinched, poked, prodded into. I continued teaching and began taking classes toward my doctorate degree. My husband was angry that I was moving beyond him. He wanted me to quit working and get pregnant again. I saw it as a trap. We get divorced, a black spot on my family. In fact, BLT does not tell people in Happy Texas that I'm divorced for 2 years. Until I let the cat out of the bag. I'm sitting in the same pew at the First Baptist Church in Happy that my family always sits in during a visit home. It's the usual horse and pony show. I'm expected to wear a skirt, pantyhose, and high heels, sit and look pretty, make polite conversation. I'm sitting next to my friend Andrew, who I've known since the 3rd grade, and I notice he keeps looking over at my left hand. I know he's looking for the wedding ring that's no longer there. Well, how's Donnie doing? Andrew asks. Oh, I don't want to lie to my friend. We got divorced 2 years ago. Oh, well, I'm sorry, Vicki. Luckily, the pianist begins playing the opening hymn. The preacher walks to the pulpit to give the opening prayer. Whew, no time for a further explanation. After church, I'm at home with BLT and I tell her, "The divorce cat has escaped the bag. You're going to have to start telling people the truth." "You did what?" Throughout my life, BLT has always told me, if people knew what I was really thinking, they wouldn't like me very much anymore. I'm not sure what she was really thinking when she found out there was no divorce story, but the look said, "Do not ask me to discuss my feelings about this matter." I would say more about my little ex-husband. He was only 5'6", but I've pretty much erased my marriage years from my mind. I call it the little experiment that just didn't work for me. I mean, after all, my grandmother cut all my cousins' ex-wives out of their wedding photos, so I chucked my wedding evidence in the trash. After 4 years of taking classes, I graduate with my doctorate degree at the age of 37. I accept a professor position at a university in Connecticut. I need to get the hell out of Dodge. BLT says, "Ah, you must not love us anymore." Ouch. A cousin looks like I've just punched him in the stomach when I say that I'm moving out of Texas. Daddy, in an alcoholic stupor, says, "Oh, you don't have to do this, Vicki. I'll take care of you." I see his heart break. Shine, but not too much. Shine, but make sure you're just like us. Shine. I teach public relations at the university level for 17 years. Life is good. I'm tenured, chair of my department, but I just have the feeling this career isn't it. Just like when I was a kid sitting alone in my bedroom in Happy, Texas, I hear something whisper, "There's more to life than this." In order to find my path, I begin meditating. Deepak asked me to visualize myself on a beach. There's an empty bottle sitting in the sand with a blank piece of paper sitting next to it. Deepak asks, "If you could be anything in life, no fear, no obstacles, what would that be?" An artist burst into my mind like a bright Broadway marquee. Art, my long-lost love. And then Deepak says, "Write the stream onto the piece of paper, put it into the bottle, and throw the bottle into the ocean, symbolizing the field of all possibilities." As I visualize myself doing this, I see my grandmother standing on the beach at a distance, the one who taught me about art in her china shop in Happy, Texas. I know that she's carrying my art dream into the universe for me. I continue teaching. I try to live the double life of public relations professor by day and artist by night in any free weekends I can sneak in. Art becomes self-therapy. I begin painting female portraits that express my feelings of fear, anxiety, hope, and determination. I realize that I'm painting a visual memoir of what's happening in my life at certain snapshots in time. But it's just not enough. The drumbeat of my life's purpose has become too loud and persistent to ignore. I realize if I don't fully follow my passion for art, my soul will shrivel within me and die. But I'm scared. I took the leap from non-working wife in Texas to university professor in Connecticut almost 2 decades ago. Can I take the even bigger leap of quitting my stable professor job to do art? Yes, my inner artist screams, you're about to turn 50, do it now. My artist grandmother, a giant ladybug, and I are gathered around a bonfire deep in a lush forest. A hollow tree trunk is suspended above the bonfire. The bonfire smoke swirls into the hollow tree trunk and out the other end in gentle wisps that pierce the nighttime sky. A circle of rabbits surrounds us. And otherworldly music emanates from the rabbits' erect ears, providing a veil of protection. Whisper aloud your most heartfelt intentions, Vicki, my grandmother says to me. This will allow your intentions to blend with the bonfire smoke, swirl into and through the hollow tree trunk and out into the field of all possibilities. The wildest thoughts pop into my mind. I have no idea where they come from, but they escape from my mouth like a rushing waterfall, unstoppable. I desire to listen with my whole heart. I desire to use my nude body as the paintbrush and create magical body print creations. I desire to become a myth maker and write the fairy tales of my ancestors. I desire to heal and extend my own ancestral line and inspire others to follow their own dreams. As these wild thoughts thoughts leave my lips. They fire and spark like fireflies. They blend with the bonfire smoke, swirl into and through the hollow tree trunk and out into the nighttime sky. I feel a new strength pulsing through my veins. I'm sitting in a faculty meeting, bored and totally tuned out from the conversation that's going on. I'm checking my personal email and I see a message from life coach Gabby Bernstein. Would you like to begin a spiritual business based on your passion, your gifts? Well, hell yes, but how? I mean, what if I come to my last day on earth, stand before God, and he says to me, "What did you do with the gifts that I gave you, Vicki?" Nothing does not seem to be the correct answer. Ladybugs show up in my condo in Connecticut. Lots of ladybugs in the month of January, which seems like an odd month for them to appear. Next to my toaster when I'm making breakfast in the morning. Gathered on a window shade in my bedroom. On the bathroom floor next to my nightly bubble bath. Are they trying to tell me something? I feel that the ladybugs carry my grandmother's spirit. She's urging me to remember, "You are an artist, Vicki." I hear the ladybugs whisper, "Jump, jump, jump, take the leap." I hire a life coach to help me work through all these crazy feelings that I'm having. I know that I've outgrown teaching and I need to begin a life solely based on my passion for art. On February 24th, 2015, I type my resignation email to the dean and members of the public relations department at my university. My fingers are shaking. I want to vomit on my computer keyboard, but it's done. Blind leap of faith. Will someone come save me like my dean did 17 years ago? Nope. This time the universe requires me to save myself. BLT does not take it very well. I'm so embarrassed of you. What am I going to tell people? Oh, you've wasted your education. You cannot be called doctor anymore. My heart sinks. My stomach churns. I feel myself shrink and revert to a vulnerable child. Doubts rush in. I feel like my dream of becoming an artist is being extinguished from my mind like a candle flame being snuffed out with wet fingers. But I love making art, Mama. It's my calling. Can't you see? Only preachers have callings. I'm hurt, but I continue to try to make BLT see my joy. I've been asked to be on a local TV show. They want to interview me about my art. I'm so excited for you to be on the TV. I'll pray for you. Call me after it's over and tell me all about how it goes. But after shooting the TV show, flushed with excitement, I call BLT and I can tell from the tone of her voice that something has changed. No one wants your art on their wall. You are bound to fail. I hope you come to your senses and forget this foolishness. We finally see BLT as a wolf in sheep's clothing. She even refuses to acknowledge my 50th birthday because she's so angry that I quit my professor job to follow my passion for art. I love you more when you do what I want you to, she admits. Just drop it, my inner artist says to me. She's never going to understand. Stop beating a dead horse and follow your dream. I don't go home to Happy for Christmas for the first time in my whole life because the tension between BLT and me is so mammoth. In return, she mails me a package of prevention magazines. How to look younger after the age of 40, how to lose weight after the age of 45. Along with a book, 52 Weeks with Jesus, unopened and still in its plastic wrapper. she needs the book more than I do, I think. I wonder if the story that she's telling people is, oh, well, Vicky's gained a little bit of weight, so she can't come home for Christmas. My Aunt Ruth, BLT's sister and also an artist, has a much different reaction. Well, your Uncle Pat quit his farming job to begin a new career because he was no longer happy. It's okay to follow your joy, Vicki. You know, the ancient Hebrews placed rocks along their journey to mark their milestones. Your art and writing are your milestones, Vicki. Use them to bring others joy. Wow, how can two sisters be so different? I need to figure out what shine means to me. I'm at the White Place, Plaza Blanca in Abiquiu, New Mexico. I'm standing under a majestic cottonwood tree. I look over my shoulder and I see an older woman walking down the nearby arroyo bed. Gray hair pulled back into a severe bun under a black wide-brimmed hat. Long black dress flowing down to her ankles. A gnarled wooden walking stick clutched in one bony hand. Oh my gosh, is that Georgia O'Keeffe? Well, of course it is, honey. Who did you expect? Do you have a question for me? I search my heart and mind trying to think of an appropriate question to ask Miss O'Keeffe. Yes. How can I shine through my art? Well, it's easy, honey. You can shine anytime you wish. But how? The key to shining through your art is to get in a quiet place where your heart can truly listen. Truly listen? Now, sit under my cottonwood tree, close your eyes, and tell me what you hear. Listen with your whole heart. I hear the wind rustling through your tree's leaves, the scuttle of a beetle's legs as it moves over dry, crusty twigs and grass, a fly buzzing, distant bird calls, and an airplane soaring far above. Good. Now try again, and this time listen deeper. Focus with your whole heart. I hear the movement of shadows, a bud blossoming into a flower, and the flight path of moth's wings. Yes! Now you understand the art of truly listening with your whole heart. You're ready to shine. And just like a fragile bubble bursting into thin air, my visit with Miss O'Keeffe abruptly ends. I hear a new mantra bubbling up from my heart. Shine, rebel, rebel, shine. I'm standing on the bank of the Chama River somewhere in Abiquiu, New Mexico. I'm nude, up to my ankles in the freezing muddy water, yet the red and searing sun, similar to the sunlight in the south of France, warms my body as the vast New Mexico sky, blue as a robin egg, surrounds me. I'm making body prints, meaning I'm smearing my nude chest, stomach, and back with pink, purple, light orange, turquoise, olive, black and gold acrylic paint. My inner good girl rings alarm bells. What if someone drives by and sees you? Isn't this too racy, showing your private parts in a painting? Is my stomach fat? Luckily, my inner artist intervenes. Zip it! This is magical! I lie down on a large watercolor sheet. Use my nude body as the paintbrush to create an image of myself on the paper. Some of the mud from the Chama River blends with the paint, creating rough texture. If the paint is thick enough, my body suctions to the paint and makes a sucking noise and spidery patterns when I separate myself from the painted image. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I think, is it okay to go to Bodie's General Store like this? Of course it is, I hear the Chama River whisper. Everyone's an artist here. I see a complete cow skeleton skeleton sitting in the field nearby, a pile of ribs, vertebrae, pelvic bone, femurs, huge skull with teeth, all bleached white by the desert sun. I ask, Spirit, if it's okay to touch the bones? A spider scuttles out from beneath the skull, startling me. Seems to be a positive sign. I wash off the skull in the trauma's muddy water. My fingers push slimy mud through the eye holes and nasal cavity. I slather the skull with pink and purple acrylic paint and make a print of it on a large watercolor sheet. Later, I add more paint and make an abstract version of the skull. Some of the trauma's mud showing through the paint. A souvenir of this magical day. Seeing the cow skeleton reminds me of growing up on my family's cattle ranch. I'm 12 years old and climbing up on a hay bale pyramid that's 8 feet tall. I see a bloated steer on the ground waiting for the dead truck to come. I scramble down the hay bale pyramid and poke the steer with a stick. Oh, I'm entranced as a cascade of wriggling white maggots gush out of the bloated belly on a river of bright red, thick, sticky blood. Whoa, how cool! Freedom and curiosity pulse through my veins. My mind snaps back to the body prints I've just made, quietly waiting on the trauma's muddy bank. I feel my skin prickle and tighten as the acrylic paint dries and shrinks on my chest, stomach, and back, similar to snake scales. It's almost like I'm shedding an old skin, dying to the old self and transforming into something new. I wonder what these body print creatures will become. They vibrate with the power, soul, and voice all their own. I know they'll reveal their purpose and magic when they're ready. Pretty sure I will too. One thing BLT does not like is change. I discovered this fact after my divorce while taking a qualitative research class for my doctorate degree. Mom, guess what my professor said today? He said by the end of the semester, every student will be changed. I'll become a new person. But I like who you are now. I don't want you to change. At the time, I thought her response was odd, a little funny, but I blew it off. Later, Daddy went through major changes that did not sit well with BLT. Daddy wasn't the type to find a hobby after he could no longer handle the physical rigors of farming and ranching. No grilling, golfing, or woodworking for him. Nope. Daddy's hobbies became vodka and whiskey, like his father and grandfather before him. I'm visiting Happy, Texas one July during the summer break for my professor job in Connecticut. I'm sitting in my childhood bedroom that looks exactly the same as it did when I graduated high school in 1984. 3 tiaras for the 3 years I won beauty pageants, Little Miss Happy, Junior Miss Happy, and Miss Happy. Junior high and high school track medals, and happy cowboys and cowgirls cheerleading photos grace the room. The phone rings and BLT comes rushing in. You need to help me get your father from the post office. Apparently, Daddy was drunk as a skunk and had decided to get the mail at the only and tiny post office in Happy, Texas, the hub of town gossip. Daddy had fallen and someone called to let BLT and I know. When BLT and I arrive at the post office, I see a bottle of Canada Goose whiskey, 3/4 empty, sitting in the front seat of Daddy's white Ford pickup. BLT and the man help Daddy out of the post office, supporting him under each arm. Daddy has peed all down the left leg of his Wrangler jeans. BLT has been living the story that no one would notice Daddy's alcoholism, but just like me not wearing a ring at the First Baptist Church, the cat was out of the bag. I mean, at First Baptist Church, they don't pass around wine to celebrate the Lord's Supper. They give you grape juice. So Daddy definitely was not going to be allowed to be a deacon after that. Believe me, people were talking. Daddy later transitioned into Alzheimer's. The good news is he forgot he drank. The bad news is he became increasingly afraid of social situations. He also lost that wicked dry sense of humor that I loved. I'm on another visit home to Happy, this time for Christmas. I've decided not to attend church with my parents, which I'm sure displeases BLT. Instead, I'm doing a workout DVD in the living room while my parents are supposedly getting ready for church. BLT has instructed Daddy to jump in the shower and clean up before putting on his suit and tie. But as I'm working out, I hear a fast shuffling noise going back and forth behind me. I turn around and I see Daddy naked, going in a confused way from his bathroom to the kitchen. He's clearly agitated. I turn back to the TV and continue working out, hoping that naked Daddy will retreat to his bathroom. We are not a naked family. I finally tell BLT what's going on, and she rushes in screaming at Daddy. I told you to jump in the shower and clean up. Oh, we're gonna be late. I don't know if he showered or not. I wasn't going to check, but BLT urges Daddy to get dressed in his suit and tie, but he can no longer button his buttons or tie his tie, so she helps him get dressed like he's a child. I know this is a painful transition for them both. When they were dating in high school in the 1940s, Daddy was a star athlete in football, track, and boxing. BLT was a cheerleader and a fashionista. BLT so wants the story to be that Daddy is still normal, but Daddy's afraid to go to church. He no longer recognizes people, and he has to sit by himself while BLT teaches a Sunday school class and sings in the choir. This is the last time I saw Daddy at home before he moved into a nursing home. The three of us are sitting around one evening watching a movie on TV, which I am totally engrossed in. Well, I just want to tell you, Vicki, how proud I am of you, making a life as a professor all on your own. I'm so proud of you, kid. Okay, Daddy, but we're trying to watch this movie, okay? Oh, I feel awful for cutting him off and ignoring him. BLT doesn't visit Daddy often in the nursing home because she says, he stares at me with those sad, pleading eyes. They follow me across the room. BLT feels guilty for not bringing Daddy home, but she can no longer take care of him. Daddy died in January 2018. I bet you've got that wicked dry sense of humor back now, Daddy. Love you. A priestess takes me on a mystical journey. We walk through a grassy field until we come to a clearing where a circle is formed on the soft ground by the jawbones of 16 cow skeletons, all bleached white by the desert sun. The priestess instructs me to sit in front of 2 cow skulls adorned with yellow sunflowers. It's time for you to go on a mystical spiritual journey, says the priestess. I nervously sit in the center of the circle of bones. But who will I meet along the way? What if I run into danger? Who will come to my aid? How will I return? The priestess patiently explains the rules of the journey, calming my apprehension. Select 2 guardians to protect and direct you along your journey. Ask your guides questions along the way if you become uncertain or afraid. Also ask them to help you fully return to your body when your journey is complete. I will sit on the edge of the circle of bones, tap into your energy field, and make sure that all is well. I silently consider who my 2 guardians should be. The faces of 2 ancestors pop into my mind, a wise elder and a magical child. The wise elder is my great-great-aunt Ethel. She was an artist who painted with oil and watercolor until old age dimmed her eyesight, and she published her first novel at the age of 98, Dirt Roads and Muddy Streets. The magical child is my Aunt Marie, BLT, and my Aunt Ruth's older sister, who died at the age of 9. She has eyes the color of turquoise that can see right into my soul. The raven woman said that turquoise is the symbol for courage. Perhaps Aunt Marie is offering me courage for my journey. One time, I read letters that Aunt Marie wrote in 1934, a few years before she died. They were written in perfect penmanship with pencil on big chief tablet paper. She was a joyful soul who was excited about receiving a new dress and shoes. Although you've never met us on the earth's plane, Ethel and Marie say in unison, we've been watching your artistic progress from afar. We're here to carry you deeper, deeper on the next leg of your mystical true self journey. My heart skips a beat. I've heard of these two ancestors in snippets of family conversation, but I had no idea they were supporting me from the spirit world. Thank you. I nod in confirmation to the priestess. My great-great-aunt Ethel and Aunt Marie are my two spirit guides. Good, says the priestess. Now discern how you will enter your journey. I immediately envision a giant butterfly with colorful wings, the symbol of transformation. I will ride a giant butterfly into my journey. I close my eyes. The priestess takes her protective post on the edge of the circle of bones. My journey begins. In my imagination, I ride the giant butterfly up into the clouds and past the earth's plane into a new realm. Along the way, we pass my grandmother. She's sitting on a fluffy pink cloud. Pink is her favorite color. Even her house in Happy is made of pink brick. Transcend, my dear, fly higher, grandmother says to me. She places a ladybug talisman in the palm of my hand, a symbol of protection and a sign that grandmother is always near. The butterfly carries me farther until we land next to Georgia O'Keeffe among the red hills of her beloved New Mexico home. Come have tea, Miss O'Keeffe says to me. I look to great-great-aunt Ethel and Aunt Marie. They both agree it's absolutely fine for me to accept this invitation. After all, this is the Georgia O'Keeffe, Ethel and Marie say in unison. After having tea, Miss O'Keeffe shows me her large, famous painting of a cow skeleton's pelvic bone with the New Mexico sky showing through the pelvic bone's hole. Miss O'Keeffe instructs me. Now, fly on your giant butterfly through the pelvic bone's hole into the sky beyond. After the butterfly and I fly through the pelvic bone's hole into the vast blue New Mexico sky, we land in a forest clearing where a large herd of deer are warily staring at us at a distance. Are these really deer or other beings? I cautiously ask Ethel and Marie. It's funny how some ancestral stories get passed down, or not. Take the story of my maternal great-grandmother, Jessie. I'm 28 years old, married, and talking to BLT on the phone while cooking. I'm sauteing vegetables in a skillet, pushing the veggies around in rice oil with a white plastic spatula. I notice that the oil in my skillet is getting murky. Oh my gosh, my spatula is melting into the skillet. I've not used rice oil before, and apparently it heats up very quickly. Well, your great-grandmother died in a kitchen fire, so you better be careful. What? You never told me that story. What happened? Apparently, my great-grandmother Jessie was heating wax in a pot on the stove for the wood floors when her dress sleeve caught on fire. She yelled for my grandmother, age 13 at the time, and her brother to run out of the house. Jessie knew that she was going up in flames, and she wanted for them to be safe. Well, your grandmother always said that she remembers seeing her mother's shoes smoking after she died in that fire. Yikes. What an image for a young girl to have. Later, my great-grandfather, Jessie's husband, married the housekeeper. My grandmother refused to call her mother and instead continued to call her Mary. When my grandmother Denora decided that she wanted to open her china shop, my grandfather, Daddy D, discouraged her dream. Why would she want to start something so radical at this late age? So, my grandmother went to my brother for help with the bank loan. Grandmother was very successful with her china shop and painting classes. She continued until old age caused her to drop and break people's china pieces when she was trying to load them into 2 large kilns in her garage. Grandmother began her artistic journey around the age of 50, the same year that I resigned from my professor job to follow my own art path. I wish I would have asked her more questions when she was alive. And then there's BLT. I'm visiting my Aunt Ruth and BLT in Amarillo, Texas. I've just moved to Santa Fe a month after my soul-changing body print experience next to the Chama River. My Aunt Ruth is 90 years old, an artist, and preparing to move into an assisted living center, so she's cleaning out her house. She's giving me art gifts, and when I see what they are, a light bulb goes off in my head. Ladybug earrings? Well, ladybugs are a form of communication, Vicki says, between her and grandmother, but I don't understand why. I decided not to try to explain. Again. Well, why don't you take one of my china painting kilns? Ruth says to me. I'm taking them back. I don't paint china. I bet you could use it to fire clay. Wow, maybe I could use it to fire clay. I've been sculpting with clay for a year and I love it. This prompts Ruth to tell me how to find the cones and other gadgets that go with her kiln. I climb up the dusty pull-down stairs in the garage that lead up to Ruth's attic. The small space is chock full of art stuff. Blank china waiting to be painted, oil paintings that Ruth has done throughout the years, wooden frames that Uncle Pat built for Ruth to put her paintings in. I'm overwhelmed. Ruth's attic reminds me so much of grandmother's china shop that I'm taken right back to my childhood and I begin crying. I see a painting that Ruth created in Taos, New Mexico. It has Indian corn, a black clay pot, and a turquoise necklace, the color of my Aunt Marie's eyes, and the raven woman's symbol for courage. I climb back down the garage steps, wiping tears from my face. BLT is standing in the back door. Oh, Ruth's attic reminds me so much of grandmother's china shop. I found a painting that I really want, but I'm afraid to ask Ruth. BLT is surprisingly comforting. It's okay to cry. Ask Ruth. I'm sure she would love you to have her painting. I'm grateful, but a little stunned at BLT's kind response. I've heard through my brother that BLT is a little jealous around the relationship Ruth and I have with art. Ruth is happy for me to take her painting. We hug. BLT watches. Things take a sharp turn from there. BLT has spent the night with Ruth while I spent the night in a hotel. BLT casually says, "Well, I can't find my diamond wedding rings." I know she always takes them off before going to bed, so I search the bedroom and bathroom on hands and knees. BLT and Ruth's visiting angel nurse join in. No rings. BLT becomes increasingly angry. "I am not leaving this house until we find my rings. I know that nurse stole them. I'm going to call the FBI." After 2 hours, I finally get BLT in my car and drive her back to Happy, Texas. Oh, I feel faint. I'm going to throw up. I got those wedding rings from the only man I ever loved. Wow, this is an Oscar-winning performance, my inner artist says to me. But you realize, Vicki, she's not coming back from this, right? 2 weeks later, the rings show up in BLT's house when she instructs my brother. "Look in that little velvet pouch on the kitchen table." He does. Miraculously, the rings are there. I know that nurse snuck into my house and returned them so I wouldn't call the FBI. that, something snaps in BLT's psyche. She begins seeing 3 people who aren't really there in her home. She's afraid of them. One night she makes them peanut butter, jelly, and bacon sandwiches and runs out of the house to escape to the First Baptist Church a couple of blocks away. Thankfully, a deacon is there and calls my brother. BLT is later diagnosed with delusional dementia, and she moves into a memory care facility, a large home with cheerful yellow walls. The staff and residents really seem to like her. I've heard this before. The ladies in her Sunday school class, BLT's weekly hairdresser, the other pink ladies that she volunteered with at the Baptist hospital have all said to me, "Your mother is the sweetest thing." Wow, people really seem to like you here, I tell BLT about her memory care. Well, I can be nice when I want to. During one of my visits, BLT is sitting in the dining room trying to eat scrambled eggs on a plastic fork, but the tremors in her hands have become so bad that the eggs fly off of the fork and don't make it into her mouth. She's like I've never seen her before. In a wheelchair, bent over 90 degrees. There's a constant stream of drool coming out that side of her mouth. A puddle of drool mixed with food has formed on her pants leg. I can see she's lost weight. She's hungry, but she refuses to ask the staff for help. I ask a nurse for something to feed BLT. She gives me a chocolate protein shake in a short, wide-mouthed plastic wine glass with a long straw. Not great for someone with tremors. BLT and I have never been very touchy-feely. She's a very proud woman and is extremely embarrassed by the state she's in, especially in front of me, but she allows me to feed her. I hold that glass and I put the straw up to her lips. She sucks that drink right down. We see the anger and confusion on BLT's face. She stifled her true self years ago and rejected who she was born to be. She was afraid to stand out from the conformist flock and shine. She tried her best to make us the same way, but she knows that she's failed. It's all become too much for BLT to bear. All of a sudden, with a deafening noise like a freight train moving forward at full speed, BLT implodes into a fiery, madly swirling tornado. All that's left are BLT's black, 2-inch high-heeled shoes. They sizzle and smoke just like great-grandmother Jessie's shoes. And then there's me. BLT is pregnant with me. We, along with Daddy and my 8-year-old brother, live out in the country before moving into Happy. There's a white tornado on the loose. White because it's raining. My parents don't have a basement or a cellar, and BLT is too pregnant to fit under the house, so Daddy does what you're not supposed to do during a tornado. Pile everyone into the pickup and try to outrun it. Daddy always jokes, "Well, that white tornado is what's wrong with you, Vicki." One of my jobs as a kid on the farm is to ride a horse to help drive cattle from one pasture to the next. Daddy gets me up at the ungodly hour of 5 a.m. He always follows my brother and I in his pickup instead of riding a horse himself. I never understand why. I'm sitting in the saddle on my horse, a chunky male named Nuggets. I'm waiting for my brother to let down the barbed wire fence so the cattle can move into the open pasture beyond. I see an empty snakeskin that some snake has shed. It's snagged on a wooden fence post, fluttering in the wind. The scales are still visible, ghostly white, dry and papery. I try to call out, "What if a rattlesnake is still in the grass and spooks the horses?" But my throat closes tight with fear. No words come out. great Aunt Ethel comes to me as a giant moth, the symbol of faith, determination, and intuition. Ethel says to me, in a voice as gentle as the flutter of moth's wings, once you've met your true self, you can't unmeet. You've shed your old skin, Vicki. Now that you've crossed this barrier, your true self will never be satisfied with the old. I feel this truth sink deep into my bones. The giant butterfly and I fly through the pelvic bone hole in Georgia O'Keeffe's famous painting out into the vast blue New Mexico sky. We fly until we land in a forest clearing where a large herd of deer are warily staring at us at a distance. Are these really deer or other beings? I cautiously ask Ethel and Marie. These are your maternal ancestors, Ethel and Marie say in unison. 3 of the deer walk forward and morph into their human form. Your great-grandmother, Jessie, your grandmother, Janora, your mother, Beulah Linnell Todd, BLT. Well, who's the 4th place for? That is your place in our ancestral line. Our stories are your stories, Vicki. It's your job to become a myth maker, to carry all of our stories forward and heal and cleanse our ancestral line. Oh, no. I don't have the knowledge or the skill to write the fairy tales of my ancestors. No, there must be some mistake. Come, take your place here in front of me in our ancestral line. Well, I feel something weird in my chest, in my heart space. It's the white tornado. It's inside of me. As she stands behind me, BLT places her hands on my shoulders, making me calm and steady. You've got that Texas grit, Vicki. You're strong. You can do this. Like a bolt of lightning, I feel a surge of support coming from the line of ancestors standing behind me. It's coming into me through BLT's hands on my shoulders. The white tornado expands out of my heart space, encircling all of us. It heals and cleanses our ancestral line. I feel my ancestors' true self sparks blend with my own true self spark. They pulse and strengthen. I feel myself begin to sway to a new rhythm that bubbles up from my heart. My movements grow wilder. I twirl and dip. I'm nude. My body is covered in paint, rich pinks, purples, black and silver. Deer antlers adorn my head, and my feet morph into sparkly silver deer hooves. My body print creatures surround me. They dance with me. And then something truly magical happens. A black and purple body print twirls forward and begins to transform. The cow skull, bleached white by the desert sun, with the red rose adorning one of its horns, takes its place above the body print creature. A large purple Georgia O'Keeffe type flower begins to bloom and pulse next to the body print. Words begin to filter into my mind like manna raining down from heaven. It's my first ancestral story. My bones sing the true song, my art song, the reason why I'm here song. Peel scales from ears, eyes, heart, listen for the bones to sing. I am the bone gatherer, yet I'm not alone. The ancestors create with and through. We sing the true song, DNA song, the know it in your bone song. We sing, we sing. I stop dancing and see that I am once again clothed and back to my usual self. The deer antlers disappear from my head, and the sparkly silver deer hooves morph back into my feet. I notice that I am once again trailing the purple flowering vines like when I was born. I'm finally rocking the life I was put on this planet to live. her 6-year-old. She rules her life like a bird in flight. Thank you for teaching me to fly. During my last visit to BLT's memory care, she tells a staff person, "Well, this is my beautiful daughter, Vicki. She's an artist in Santa Fe."
That from coming in and seeing your art out there and your books, and then coming in and having you walk through all of this art that you have, and coming out to such a beautiful, beautiful thing to see you and have heard of your journey. I am so impressed and delighted. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.